If your business feels invisible, it's not you, it's your market. Now, right now, millions of small businesses are yelling into the same canyon, but AI can show you a hidden pond where you're the only fish that matters. Hello and welcome back, my fellow entrepreneurs. I'm Kim, your host of Small Business Big AI, the podcast where we talk about AI strategies for busy owners who want real results, not just tech headaches. Because in the AI era, we're not just building small businesses, we're building technology enabled superpowers. And of course, I've got my partner in crime, the one and only Hal Howard, back in the studio with me today. Hey, welcome back, Hal.
Great to be here, Kim.
So, Hal, everyone is out there chasing the big markets. They're fighting over a few scraps, but that's an amateur move.
Amateur move?
Yeah, the real power is in finding a market so specific, so you, that nobody else even dares to enter it. Now, it's not about being the biggest fish in the pond. It's about owning the whole dang pond, Hal. And with tariffs, back in the headlines and whispers of a new US-China trade squeeze, making small business forecasts tighter than ever, potentially putting 40% of small businesses out of business this year. Well, our topic today has never been more critical. And here's the scary part. The businesses that are most at risk, well, they're the ones trying to serve everyone. And in a downturn, generic gets cut first.
Whoa, Kim. That's reckless advice. You're telling small business owners to shrink their markets when everyone else is screaming, go bigger? We need to talk about this.
Well, hun, that's exactly what we're going to do today. Now, we're going to dive into how AI doesn't just help you find a niche, it actually helps you build a business that's so resilient it thrives in a tightening economy. So, today we're going to discuss how to find a profitable niche market that your competitors don't even see.
We also need to talk about the best way to use micro influencers to build trust and authority in that niche.
So, I got you covered on that one. Now, we'll also discuss how to use AI to validate your business idea before you spend a single dollar. So, grab a cup of coffee and settle in because the journey starts right now. So, right now, some of you might be listening to this podcast while, walking the treadmill or driving home from a long day at the office. So, to make your time a bit more enjoyable and entertaining, let's start with a little story because it's time for one of my favorite segments, Coffee Table Conversations with Kim and Hal. All right, Hal, let's talk about the reality small businesses are facing. Now, you're always telling me that most business owners have their eyes fixed on the wrong prize and they think they need to be a major player to succeed.
Exactly. It's like they're trying to win the Super Bowl of business when they could be dominating the local high-stakes poker game.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Something that only they know how to play. A niche, a forte.
Instead, I want them to think of AI as the cheat sheet, not just their calculator.
So, bigger picture?
So let's talk about Frank.
Okay, our hypothetical, right?
Somewhat, yes, but characteristics of other small business owners.
Okay.
So Frank thought he was just another online t-shirt shop, right? Selling sarcastic slogans, you know, the ones, the basic logo tees, nothing that would make anyone hit the buy now button.
Yeah, it's really an overcrowded market right now.
He was fighting for scraps against giants like Amazon and Redbubble.
Yeah, major players.
But then Frank found his superpower. He used an AI tool to analyze conversations on Reddit and discover a hyper niche. T-shirts for people who only listen to 90s SKA punk bands.
Wait, SKA Punk? Seriously?
Seriously, the group is highly specific in its interests, but there's a passionate community that's been completely ignored by every major brand. They were a tribe with a shared identity, and no one was serving them.
Oh, I have to Google that one.
Go ahead. That's exactly what I thought. But here's the thing, Kim. Now, Frank is the go-to guy, not just another t-shirt shop. He's not fighting for a sliver of the market. He is the market. He owns the pond. And AI just didn't show Frank the SKA punk pond. It showed him the currents beneath it. He wasn't selling just t-shirts. He was listening.
Listening with AI?
Exactly. So as the SKA punk crowd started complaining about the lack of authentic vintage patches, Frank pivoted fast. He became the go-to guy for custom patches.
SKA Punk Patches. Now say that 3 times fast.
The AI let him ride the wave instead of drowning in it.
So this really isn't about SKA Punk at all, huh? It's really more about agility. The niche is your starting point, but the real play is tracking what your tribe wants next and then moving faster than everyone else.
Exactly. AI didn't just find him a pond. Like I said, it taught him how to own the pond and swim upstream before anyone else could even notice the current was shifting.
So here's the question, my friends. What's your SKA Punk t shirt? That absurdly specific, completely overlooked passion that your business could be serving right now. Now, keep that thought because in a minute, we're going to show you how AI helps you find it. Join our growing community of small business owners who are using AI to transform their businesses. Subscribe and be part of the conversation. Now, let's stir the pot. So, you've been told the safest move is staying broad, appealing to everyone. But here's the truth. The biggest risk isn't being too niche, it's being too generic. Now, if you're a little bit of everything, you're a whole lot of nothing to your customers. In a tightening economy like the one we're in now, well, that's a death sentence.
Hold on, Kim. I'm going to push back on that hard. That's dangerous oversimplification.
I don't think so, Hal. Now, you've read and heard the news. Continued global instability is a major pain point right now.
But a niche market can absolutely be too small, limiting your growth potential. What happens if the trend dies or a giant corporation with more resources decides to enter your secret market and crush you with lower prices? You need to be prepared for that. You're telling people to put all the eggs in one small basket.
No, Hal, what I'm saying is find a golden egg, one that is unique, the unobvious gold mine.
So my question is, what's your assurance policy for that?
Well, that's where the big AI part of our name comes in, Hal. Now, AI is your insurance policy. It's about finding a niche, but also using AI to track market sentiment and consumer conversations to stay one step ahead of the fad. Now, it allows you to pivot before the big brands even know what hit them. So while they're still doing quarterly reports, you're already in the market with your new tribe.
Fair enough. So, if AI is the engine, what's the roadmap? You told us why we need to be ruthless. Now let's tell them how.
All right, enough theory. Let's get tactical. Now, we've named this next part the Goldilocks Niche Framework because the goal isn't going big or small, it's finding the pond that's just right for you.
Not too big, not too small. I like that. So, where do we start?
Well, how phase one is what I call the emotional deep dive. So, most entrepreneurs are just guessing where to go next. They're looking at broad keywords like running shoes. And then they're wondering why they can't get any traction. But an AI powered tool goes beyond simple keywords to analyze the emotional language that customers use on social media to describe their pain points.
So, instead of finding out what people are searching for, you're figuring out what's bothering them.
Exactly. So it's the difference between hearing someone say running shoes versus hearing them complain about that awful burning sensation on a marathon at mile 20. The emotional context is the key to finding a truly underserved need. Now, an AI can process millions of data points and find these patterns faster than any human can, giving you a massive advantage, Hal. So, listeners, let me ask, have you ever scrolled past your competition and thought, they don't get my people? Well, that feeling, that's the seed of your niche. What would happen if you chased it with data?
So, the AI finds the town your competitors scroll past. But who are the mirrors?
Well, that's what I call phase two, Hal. It's the micro influencer as the community leader. So once you've found that niche, you really don't need a billboard. You need a megaphone. And you need a megaphone that's in the right hands. Now, micro influencers are those mayors of these small towns. They're more trusted than a big name celebrity because their followers view them as relatable peers who have a genuine connection to the niche.
Sure, but when your mayor goes rogue, your brand's in trouble. You're basically renting trust you don't control.
So that's why AI isn't just finding influencers, Hal. It's managing risk. Now, you're not renting trust, you're actually curating it.
That makes sense. I've seen this in action. A small skincare brand used AI to find micro influencers who generally struggled with sensitive skin. Their audience trusted their personal recommendations far more than any glossy magazine ad.
Think about it. When was the last time you truly listened to what your audience was complaining about? I mean, not just what they liked. And that brings us to our next point of friction.
My favorite part.
So, for a long time, we were told that you could not replace the human touch in market research. But I'm going to be a little controversial here. I'm here to say that that's no longer a hard truth because an AI can process millions of data points faster than any human can. And in some cases, it can find patterns and insights that a human researcher would completely miss. So It can be less biased than a human trying to find what they want to see.
Whoa, hold on, Mrs. Data. A purely AI driven approach is a trap. AI can struggle with context and emotional nuances, and it can amplify biases if the data is trained on is skewed. You need the human mind to interpret what the AI is telling you, to ask the right questions, and to turn data into real world story.
Okay, that's fair, Hal, but let's talk about another long held belief that AI is dismantling. Now, that's the idea that influencer marketing is a waste of money.
I'm hearing that a lot these days.
Yes, so the old model of paying a celebrity thousands for one post with no ROI is really completely dead.
True that.
So the data proves that micro influencers with smaller, highly engaged audiences can actually offer a higher return on investment, sometimes generating a 13 to 1 ROI on campaigns. Now, you're not buying an ad. In this case, you're buying trust.
That's a great stat. There's not a silver bullet.
Now, I know. So we're still collecting data on that one. But let me give you a statistic that really might cause you to pay attention. So recently I was, looking at Influencer Marketing Hub and brands that use micro influencers saw 60% higher engagement than those using macro influencers. And get this how, at a fraction of the cost.
Yeah, but you still have to spend time vetting them, managing the relationship, and hoping for the best. You're putting your brand's reputation in the hands of one person who may or may not be a professional. What if they make a mistake that harms your brand? You're giving away control.
Well, maybe not completely. That's why strategy matters more than ever. So we're not just marketing, we're building survival systems. You know, AI is also your radar, not just your megaphone.
So, my question to you is this: how do you build a system that manages that risk, ca- that gives you back the control, so you're not just hoping for the best?
Well, that's where we go back to our core concept, Hal. Now, this isn't just about a one time campaign. This is about building a modern, resilient business, that technology enabled superpower. So I want you to back to Frank. Remember, he didn't just sell some shirts and walk away. He used AI to monitor the social sentiment within his community to see what they were talking about next. So, when a few of them started complaining about the lack of specific vintage style patches, Frank used that AI powered insight to quickly pivot his business. So, he didn't just sell t shirts, he became the go to provider for custom 90s SKA punk patches. So he was able to be agile, he was able to be responsive to a rapidly changing economic landscape, and he was able to stay one step ahead of a fad.
So, again, it's about strategy, not just a single tactic.
Exactly. It's about using the AI not just to find the niche, but to also monitor it. Okay, let me put it this way. So think of it as a viral content on a budget strategy. So you use AI to find and vet micro influencers, to analyze their audience demographics, engagement quality, and even detect fake followers. Now, this ensures you're partnering with creators who have a genuinely highly engaged community, and that's giving you control over who you work with and the potential for higher ROI.
So, you're not giving away control, You're gaining it because you're using data to make informed decisions.
Precisely. So the data from AI allows you to predict which creators are most likely to deliver on your goals, and that really helps you avoid costly mistakes. So then, once a partnership is established, the AI can help optimize the collaboration and analyze user generated content, really to see which visuals or messages or CTAs, calls to action are performing best. So you're not hoping for a one hit wonder. What you're actually doing is you're building a content engine that gives you a predictable return. So this allows a business to be really more agile and responsive to a rapidly changing economic landscape.
Okay, Kim, but be honest, isn't it own your own pond just another shiny strategy until someone bigger comes along and drains it?
Well, not if you're watching the tides with AI how. So owning your pond isn't really about size, it's about control. So the businesses that thrive aren't reacting, they're anticipating. Ready to unlock the power of AI for your small business? Well, don't just listen. Become a small business big AI insider. Subscribe and get ready to dominate. All right, you've heard the stories, the risk, and the strategies, so let's land this plane. Now, if you remember nothing else from today, remember this. It's not about being the biggest, it's about being the most strategic. So, here are your three key takeaways from today's episode.
Number one, don't chase the mainstream. You use AI to find the niche market so small and specific that it's a gold mine for you and invisible for everyone else. The golden egg we talked about.
Exactly. And takeaway number two, micro influencers aren't just for marketing. They're your on the ground allies who build trust and validate your brand within the niche community. So they're the mayors of your small towns.
And number three, don't be afraid to challenge the traditional thinking about market research and marketing. AI changes everything, but it needs a human to guide it, to interpret the data, tell the story, and ask the right questions. It's a superpower, not a replacement.
And that brings us to our challenge of the week. So this week, I want you to go to your favorite social media platform. Then I want you to find a community talking about a problem in your industry, in your area. And then I want you to use an AI tool, even something like a well prompted chat GPT. And then that will help you identify one reoccurring complaint that no one is currently solving. So that's your first step toward finding your pond. If you want to go from overwhelmed to in command when it comes to AI, check out my Impact Framework course. The link is in the show notes. Now that's it for today's episode of Small Business Big AI. Thanks so much for tuning in. So let's get you out of that crowded ocean and into your own private pond. Because here's the truth. In a world this noisy, invisibility is a slow death. So finding and owning your pond isn't a luxury, it's survival.
So with all the tariff talk causing supply chain chaos and higher costs, this isn't just a strategy to get ahead. It's a strategy to stay in the game. The small businesses that thrive are the ones that can adapt. So let's stop worrying about the rising tide of tariffs and start navigating to our own safe harbors.
So until next time, keep embracing change, keep innovating, and remember, the future of your business is bigger than you think. And the steps you take today will shape the legacy you build tomorrow. Now, I'm Kim.
And I'm Hal. And this has been Small Business Big AI.
Hey, before you go, do us a favor. If this episode sparked something in you, well, share it with another small business owner who needs a reminder that they don't have to do it all alone. AI is here to help, and so are we.
And if you're finding value in these episodes, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and leave us a review. It helps more entrepreneurs discover how to build technology-enabled superpowers of their own.
We're all in this together, so thanks for listening. We'll catch you in the next episode. And until then, enjoy owning your pond.